Arbor, Michigan, at a Mexican grocery store, Tienda La Libertad, where I'll be starting my journey into Mexican cooking. Here we're gonna buy some ají amarillos. Apparently they have the best ones in town here. Some other ingredients, so let's check out what they have inside.
Comedor. Abro yo la puerta y veo una nena en mi refrigerador. Oh, ahí está, una nena en mi refrigerador. ¿Quién la metió ahí? Ahí está, con la piel morada desolador. ¿Quién la metió? O sola entró. La saco cual paleta, está muy tiesa, a punto de morir. Le llamo al doctor para una cura que la haga revivir. La meto en la tina llena de agua que está en ebullición. No se descongela este bloque, no tiene expansión. Ahí está, una nena en mi...
The producers told me we would be making papas a la huancaína with the yellow ají peppers, the Peruvian dish. However, the peppers are looking so-so over here. Fortunately, found something that looks even better. Here we are in the produce section. We've got a nice selection of peppers and other things. I was intrigued by this, the prickly pear cactus, also called the nopal or the higochumba. So I think I'm gonna try to make a dish with this, change things up a little bit. Never had it before. So here we have some chorizo colombiano, which we're gonna use for our sandwich, and the queso fresco, which we're gonna use for the nopales cactus salad. So we're back at my father's house in Ann Arbor, only a 2-minute drive from the store we were just at. Check out the spread we got. Got some brown jasmine rice, some queso fresco, looked and smelled really good. Some Takis for good measure, not part of this blog, but you know I'm gonna be eating those. Some chorizos. Here we got the cacti. I'm not gonna open them up because I already pinched myself. And some jalapeno peppers. Some snacks for the plane ride back to WashU. We got garbanzos con chile. And needed lunch today before the trip, so we got some tacos here. This one with asado, this one with chicken. Let's take our first bite. Amazing quality tortillas. And meat's really good too. I'm excited for this meal.
El sol ya está saliendo y yo apenas voy llegando. Y hace varios días que el reventón no se ha acabado. ¡Yeah! Siento que me voy a deshacer. Me encuentro muy cansado. Las presiones me agobian. Ahora siento que estoy tronando.
Hey there, welcome back to St. Louis. Made it back a few days ago, and today we'll be preparing our Latin American fusion dinner. Now, I misspoke earlier when I said Mexican. To be honest with you, I had just woken up when I went to that store, but today we're ready, we're prepared, and we're gonna make some great food. So just to go over the menu quickly, we're gonna start out making a salad of the nopales that we found in that store. So this is also known as the prickly pear in English. So we're gonna make that salad with some other vegetables and garnish it with some queso fresco and some avocado on top. The main dish is going to be a choripan, which is a pan Latin American sandwich with chorizo. That's going to go with a pebre sauce, which is common in also all over Latin America, Peru, Chile. And then for dessert, we're going to do a quesillo, which is also known as a flan, which obviously has a lot of different regional differences in how it's prepared, but the quesillo is the way that we cook it in Venezuela, which is where my family is from. So should be a delicious, varied meal, and let's get started. So we're going to start things out by cleaning the nopales. I actually already started with the flan a little bit earlier because it takes some time to cool down in the fridge. So the next thing we're going to go with is the nopales, which are going to take some time to boil in here and a little bit of time to chill in the fridge before we start with the salad. So here's what they look like. It's a pad, also called the prickly pear cactus. A lot of times they'll be sold in stores with the spines removed. However, at Tienda de Libertad, where I went, they're not cleaned. So that's the first thing we're going to do. You can see this one has more spines. You can see those white little things. I already pricked myself earlier, so it's time to remove these guys. So we got 4 of these pads. I'm just going to rinse them off quickly in the sink. All right, so here we got them. I'm going to dry them off a little bit. Now, so the nopales can actually be eaten either cooked or raw. For the purposes of this, we're gonna cook them. We're gonna boil them in some salt water with some onions and some garlic before we put them in the salad. All right, so that's why I got these protective gloves so I don't get spines. So what we're gonna do is watch the video on this, how to clean these properly. So with one hand, I'm just going to sort of hold the base here, and then I'm going to sort of just scrape down this way with the grain of the spines. So these are usually sold fresh, obviously popular in Mexican cuisine, as well as Southwest United States cuisine. So, New Mexico, Texas. I actually remember one of my earliest memories is actually going on a trip with my father to Sedona, Arizona. He had a speech there. And so over in Sedona, we got to stay in this really nice hotel. He worked for the government at the time. Surprised, but the government put us up in this very nice hotel. And every night we ate at this hotel. I got for dessert something called the prickly pear cheesecake. And that was my favorite dish at the time. That was obviously made from the fruit of this. But it goes to show this is also popular in United States cuisine, Southwest United States cuisine. So nopales aren't always just made in a salad. You can have tacos with nopales. You can make carne con nopales, huevos con nopales. It could also just be, prepared, boiled, and eaten as a side vegetable. Um, like I said, it can be creatively used as well, the fruit, in things like cheesecakes or candies, even. So it's a very versatile vegetable, also very nutritious. It has a high magnesium content, vitamin C, calcium. So it's really a very dynamic and diverse, nutritious food. Um, I chose to cook with nopales when I saw it over at the tienda that we went to in Michigan. First of all, because they didn't have ají amarillos. I was planning on making papas a la huancaína, but they did not have fresh peppers. They only had canned in a jar peppers. And I saw the nopales, and I remembered how much I liked that prickly pear cheesecake that I had in Arizona, and also I had never cooked with them before, so I was definitely intrigued, and while I scoured recipes, I realized how much love there is for this food, and so I'm very excited for how this turns out. So as you can see, the inside here, the fruit, is it's a bit slimy in texture, very soft. Um, hmm. Smells of asparagus, maybe. It's the closest thing I can compare it to. Smells very good, actually. Um, so a little bit about the history of this food. Um, this has actually been very important in Mexico and Mesoamerican cooking for a very, very long time. In fact, the nopales are not only used as a food, but also as a traditional medicine. They can be used in all types of cooking. Um, they have other practical purposes as well. Ancient Mesoamerican cultures used them to waterproof paint. So there's many uses for this very dynamic plant. Um, a bit of interesting history. Um, so there's this sort of legend that in the 14th century there was a god, Huitzilopochtli, and he told the Aztec chieftain that their new homeland would be on the island of Lake Texcoco. And when they reached the island, they were to look for an eagle. And this eagle, eating a snake, would be perched on a cactus growing from a rock or cave surrounded by water. And this would be the location where they were to build their city and honor the god. Now, they found this location, so goes the myth, and they began to build their city around 1325 AD. The Aztec translation for nopal, which is the word for this cactus, in the native Nahuatl language, is Nochtli. And the name which this city became, which you've probably heard, is Tenochtitlan, which means the place of the nopal cactus. So just a bit of interesting fact there, and it goes to show how crucial this plant was for those ancient Mesoamerican cultures, that Tenochtitlan literally means the place of the Nochtli, the nopal cactus. Being very careful because I would want to eat a spine. Would not be fun. Alright, I'm just going to chop off the ends now and should be good to go. Just to show you what the inside here looks like. Sort of a light green, white on the inside. Gonna wash these one more time and then we'll start to chop them. Alright, welcome back. So right now we've got a pot of water boiling, which we're gonna boil the nopales in, along with some garlic and some onion. So let's get those ready while the water boils. So first off, we're gonna cut the cactus into strips. This is how they'll end up being when we chill them and then ultimately put them into the salad. This is kind of like a gooey substance here. There's sort of strings as I cut it. So you can see it seems to be, there's 2 layers of green on the outside and then sort of a layer of white in the inside, if you can see that. Looks delicious. So while it is hard to remove all the spines, it is a bit of a labor-intensive process. Once you got the spines off, it's quite easy. All you have to do is just sort of cut it up and boil it. So if there's a market nearby to you that already cleans off the spines, then you're in good shape. This could be a very delicious and convenient ingredient for you to cook with. Now, I did encounter at the tienda that I went to, they had jars of nopales. I've read in what I read in recipes online that the canned version just doesn't compare to when you get them fresh. So, although I haven't tried the canned version myself, the jarred version, I would recommend going with the fresh fruit if you can. Alright, these are ready to be boiled as soon as the water starts boiling. Also going to boil it with a little bit of onion. Just going to sort of take out a chunk here. That's what the recipe called for. Here you have my clove of garlic ready, so as soon as the water starts boiling, I'm going to throw this stuff in the pot. See you then. Alright, welcome back. So while the water is boiling for the nopales, I'm just going to get the other stuff that is part of the salad ready to go. So first, I'm going to chop this tomato. This cutting board's gotten all gooey from the nopales actually, so everything is sliding around. And tomatoes are my nemesis, never been able to cut them correctly. Onions on the other hand, you'll see. I'm not bad at onions, but tomatoes, never been my thing. Guess I can remove this now. Alright. This looks like it's getting to boil quite soon. Let's chop this onion. Wow, there's almost this like gelatinous kind of substance on here. I doubt you would be able to see, but it's really interesting. I think I'm gonna put this in the sink for now and use one of my other cutting boards. Alright, well, we're back here. Still getting close. Any day now. I'm gonna now cut this onion for our mixture. Right. Now that this onion is diced, I'm gonna add this to the bowl that I put the tomatoes and some other onions I had diced up in. Alright, the moment has finally come. The water is already boiling, so I'm going to add in our nopales along with the other stuff. And reduce this to a simmer. Now we're going to cook these nopales until they're dark green and tender, so about 10 to 15 minutes. In the meantime, let's get the other ingredients for the salad ready. Alrighty, so we got the nopales in here cooking for about 10 more minutes. They're looking good. So the next part of the salad that we're going to add to these onions and tomato mixture is some cilantro, some limes, some jalapeno peppers, and some oregano. So let's start out with the cilantro. It's supposed to be roughly chopped, so it doesn't have to be too small. So we're going for about 3/4 of a cup to a cup here. This looks like it should be about good. Yeah. Alright. Let's check this out. Oh yeah, plenty. Alright, so we're going to add this into the mixture here. Starting to look like guacamole. Alright, next thing, we're going to cut up these limes. I'm going to juice it, but I'm mistaken, so just go for it the old-fashioned way. Limes are one of my favorite condiments. Just love them. The freshness, the acidity, sourness. It's a really elevated dish, I think. I'm going to save this last quarter here for the garnish. Alright, so why don't we check on the nopales. So they're definitely looking lighter green in texture. I'll show you if you can't see once they're out of the pot. But Well, I could take a piece out now. So here you can see it's definitely looking lighter green. Why don't we taste to see how tender it is? Wow, it's delicious. Almost has a lemony flavor. Still definitely needs some more time. But yeah, it's like asparagus, but more tender. Has a nice layering with that outside and that middle part. And really this interesting lemony taste. Absolutely delicious. I can't wait for it to be finished. All right. So next we're gonna go for the jalapenos. Now let's scoop out the most of the seed. Excuse me. I love the flavor of jalapenos, but I didn't grow up on this kind of food, so I don't do spicy too much. Don't mind a little bit of heat. Always appreciate it. So I'm just removing this sort of inner membrane that has seeds. I'm just gonna chop that from here. All right, I think that should be good. Why don't we check on these nopales, see how they're doing. Whoops. You can see here. Definitely getting closer. Alright, let's add these guys to make sure. 5-second rule. And so next we're going to put in the oregano. So the recipe calls for half a teaspoon. Here we got our authentic Mexican Schnucks brand oregano. We do what we can do. Put this up here. All right. Next, we're going to want to do 2 teaspoons of olive oil. All right. Next, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Okay. And that should just about do it for this part. Let's see how these nopales are doing. Should be just about done by now. I think they're good. So what I'm gonna do is drain them into a sieve and then rinse them with cold water before adding them to my mixture here. Time to drain nopales and then add them to our mixture here. Alright. Rinse this off with cold water. Remove this onion here. And if I can find that garlic clove. Might have gotten lost. Oh, found it. Alright. So here are the finished nopales. You can see they have that sort of paler green color, a little bit darker than when it was raw. So I'm going to add it to the mixture here and then toss this lightly. Smells incredible. I think this is going to be delicious with the queso fresco and the avocado. Really, it looks, smells delicious. Here we have the salad. Alright, so for now we're going to chill this in the refrigerator before we garnish it and eat it. And I believe next up is the choripan. See you then. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the pebre sauce that's going to go with the chorizo on the choripan. While I peel this onion, I'm going to talk a little bit about the pebre sauce. So, like many of the things I'm making today, it is sort of a pan-Latin American condiment. Although it is mostly known, mostly eaten in Argentina and Chile. It is extremely popular in Chile to get, a choripan with pebre sauce on it. I'm actually studying abroad in Chile next semester, so it's something that I wanted to experience maybe before I go there. Compare the pebre sauce that I'm making today with the pebre sauce that I'll have there. And it's never bad to know a thing or two about the local cuisine before I go there. So, a little bit about the sauce itself. It's very similar to Mexican pico de gallo. Actually has similar ingredients to the nopales salad we just made. So it's going to have tomato, onion, cilantro, as well as some other ingredients like some white vinegar. And the thing about pebre sauce is it usually has a kick. So I'm going to be using a hot red chili sauce, which is what the recipe calls for. It's usually eaten with toasted bread. That's the most widely and very simple usage of the sauce. But it's also used very commonly in choripan, which is what we're making. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this onion just a little bit because I will be using the food processor for this sauce. First thing that's going in the food processor is the half an onion. Now, I will warn you, this is the first time we have used this food processor in the apartment, so fingers crossed it's working. I have a good feeling about it though. So we're gonna finely chop this onion. Fingers crossed. So it works, so it seems to be working well. Gonna transfer this to a bowl and then go ahead and chop up the cilantro. I went ahead and minced that that onion a little bit more. It's looking good. Now we're gonna blend up this cilantro. Gonna blend this up with some white vinegar. This time, works a little better. So let's see, we're gonna be using about 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Alright. Just gonna chop this up a little more. So we want, this sauce is pretty similar to a chimichurri sauce. Has definitely some differences, but definitely want everything as small and chopped up as possible. And it's looking pretty good. Add this. And finally, last thing we're gonna have to chop up is the tomatoes. So, I'm gonna cut 1 tomato. Alright, add to food processor. Well, that made sort of a tomato puree, but that should work. Alright, gonna add this to the mixture. Alright. So next up, we're gonna add some oil. So 1 tablespoon of oil, and then half a teaspoon of the red chili sauce. And some salt. So here's our chili sauce. We're gonna add half a teaspoon. And 1 tablespoon of oil. Now it's looking a bit liquidy, I think, because of the tomato, but it should work. It does look just like the picture, so that's a good sign. I'm gonna taste this and see how much salt I think it needs. It's nice. Definitely has a kick to it. Definitely gonna need a little salt and pepper. It's definitely a simple sauce, you know, it's not gonna wow you, but I think it'll go nice with the chorizo. I'm gonna add a little more of my chili. Let's try this again. It's good. I think that's good. So we have arrived to the latter stages of the meal here. We're gonna make the choripan. So here's a French bread I got. Just picked it up yesterday. You know, not exactly a Latin American food. However, you know, it is customary to eat a choripan, or to find it, you know, on a street corner or however you may eat it, with French bread. So let's cut this here. Don't have a toaster, but I'm gonna toast it on the stove top, perhaps with a little butter. I think it should come out well. Nice sauce. Just gonna get a bit of butter here. Also going to start making the chorizo. So if you remember, here's the chorizos we got from the Tienda La Libertad. Let's open this up. So here we have chorizo. Smells delicious. I've never had a chorizo as good as when I traveled in Spain, however. Nothing, I don't think, will ever compare to the chorizo in Spain. This is a big piece of bread, so I'm going to make 2 of these little guys. Now I'm just going to cook these guys in a little bit of oil. Nothing too extravagant here. Got an old-fashioned stove. Right. Just a little bit of butter for the bread. We have the pebre sauce chilling in the fridge right now. So a little bit about choripan. It is, you know, chorizo y pan. The word is pretty self-explanatory. It's often served with condiments like chimichurri sauce, particularly in Argentina. Of course, pebre sauce in Chile. It's, you know, a street food, a snack. It's often customary to be used as an appetizer when making an asado or barbecue. Kind of a little, like sliders, same type of deal. But it could also be used as a main dish, or as a sort of tapas kind of thing, which is how we're doing it today, because we have the nopales salad and the choripan. So let's put these on. This chorizo cooks, which smells absolutely amazing, by the way. I can't wait to eat it. We're gonna garnish the nopales salad, finish that up. So it's been in the fridge for, I don't know, about an hour now, maybe more. Here it is. Oh my god, it smells so good. Honestly, anything I think with cilantro and lime, it's gonna smell good. But the nopales adds something for sure. So what we're gonna do is, you remember, still have that queso fresco that I picked up at the market. So I'm gonna cut a little bit of this queso. Double. Here we have the nopales. Just gonna sort of crumble a little of this cheese on. Try a little piece. It's good. It's mild, but quite delicious. Very delicious. These are cooking fast, so I'm gonna put the bread on. I sprinkled a little cheese on there. I have an avocado. There we go. Just scoop that up. Alright. So we're just gonna lay out some avocado slices on here. Wow, it's pretty. Here you see the salad. Looks like things are finishing up, so yeah. Here's the pan, part of the choripan. And let's take off the chorizo. I'm gonna wipe it down a little bit from the oil. Smell really good. it down a little bit of oil. And then we'll add it to our pan. Here we go. Make a little nook for it here. Looks great. Here we are. Whoops. And then we're gonna layer a little bit of the pebre sauce on top. Some on the other piece of the bread too. Looks great. Wow. Time to eat. We're in the living room. Let's check out our spread here. The final choripan. Smells delicious, the chorizo. And the nopales salad, which looks super good. You grab a fork and I'll start. So I'll start off here with the nopales salad. I have a piece of nopal, cheese, tomato. So the nopal, just got a piece of avocado. The nopal definitely retains that sort of slimy texture, but it's absolutely delicious. I think I cooked it the right amount of time where it's tender. It has a little bit of crunch, but it's definitely not raw. The whole thing definitely tastes of similar to guacamole. You know, I really got a delicious burst of flavor when I had a bite. I do like it. The nopal really has such a delicious texture. I'm not really getting much of that lemony taste that I had earlier. I think it could also use a bit of a kick. I did take out those jalapeno seeds, so maybe I should have let them in. Overall, I like it a lot though. You know, if nopales were a little bit easier to make, I could see myself eating this all the time. I mean, the nopales are really good. Now this is what I'm really excited for. It's a good chorizo. Well, try a little of this sauce. I think the pebre sauce actually turned out really well. Doesn't look great, You know, I think putting the tomatoes in the food processor might not have been the best idea. Probably not something I'm gonna do again. But the flavor is fantastic. It has a sort of sweetness to it. Not quite sure where that came from, but it's delicious. It definitely keeps the heat. Yeah, definitely has some heat to it combined with the chorizo. But it's really nice. Here's a close-up. It's very delicious. The flavor of the chorizo with the choripan with the pebre sauce. I like it a lot. I have to say, pretty good success, and we still have the flan to try. Hello and welcome back to the program. We're actually here in Bethesda, Maryland at my mother's house. So this is the third state that this prolonged meal has taken us to, this journey that we're on. So unfortunately the flan, the quesillo didn't work out, not because of any cooking difficulties per se in terms of the ingredients, but actually because of my oven back in St. Louis. Now let me tell you, in my life I have conquered calculus, I know the anatomy of the brain like the back of my hand, but one thing I could not conquer was how to work my oven. One of the more convoluted things I've ever attempted. Anyway, we are back here in my mother's house where we have an oven that is from this century, so hopefully it should work. And so during the course of this meal, I've used a number of recipes from different cookbooks, different blogs online I found. For example, for the pebre sauce I used this book, Mi Cocina. But for this quesillo, the flan, I remember having it so many times in my youth, in Venezuela and other places, that I thought, the best source to get a recipe would just be my family. No fancy cookbooks, just, these oral and now written traditions. So I got my mother to write me down the instructions here for the flan. So that's what we're going to do. So the way we're going to make this flan is first, what I already did actually is melt some sugar, some regular white sugar, melt it to make like a caramel sort of sauce. So right now that's actually sitting in the fridge because what we want that to do is harden. That's going to be that dark brown top that you normally see on flan. So right now we're going to make the custard part. This is where the real magic happens. So what we're going to do is just put a few ingredients here in the blender, blend it up, and then once the mold, that caramel, has hardened, then we're going to pour this custard mixture that we make inside that hardened mold, and then we'll put that in the oven. So let's make this custard. First, it calls for 3 eggs. See, next we're going to go half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Calls for a can of sweetened condensed milk. Okay, here's the can of sweetened condensed milk. Also going to put 1 can of whole milk. I'm just going to use this to measure. last thing, just some lime zest. Should be good. Alrighty, welcome back. So our mold is hardened. You can see here we have caramel coating the bottom and a little bit of the sides. Have this custard mixture. And what I have here is just sort of like a pan with raised sides, and this is filled with warm tap water. So what's going to happen is I will pour this mixture into the tin, and then I will cover it and put it in this pan with the water, which is apparently, according to my mother, called the Baño Maria. So I'm sure there is some religious symbolism there. Then it'll pop it into the oven, which is preheated to 350 degrees. It's in. So this has been in the fridge and the oven, and now it is pretty soft, a little bit jiggly. So here comes the moment of truth. Gonna just cut around the little tin here and invert it onto this plate. Alright, here we go. I think it worked. Oh wow, came out super well. My first flan. Wow, look at that. Let's try a piece here. Wow. So here's our piece. Looks like it's the right consistency. I think it was cooked for the right amount of time. So let's taste it here. Mmm. Very creamy, delicious flavor. I mean, I hate to toot my own horn here, but this is one of the best flans I've ever had. Maybe it's just because I made it, but... Well, this is a great way to cap off. Great semester, fun project. I got a whole lot more flan. Thanks for tuning in. All these recipes are and our delicious food. Really enjoyed getting myself acquainted more with some of these fantastic Latin American foods, and I look forward to cooking them more in the future. Thanks for watching.